Hello.
Hello. That's the worst part of recording these is the pretense of like, oh, we just kind of stumbled into this thing, right?
Right, yeah. Like, it's like you're having to make a conversation feel like a conversation in a way.
I
I
don't know
don't
what
know.
you're talking about. I've only but but
I love it though.
but welcome in, Shield Maiden. It's a
Thank
pleasure
you.
like to have you on the show. Why don't
Super
you
honored.
why don't you
No,
tell
seriously.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's
going.
fine. This is just a scrappy little show. We're just a scrappy little startup, you know. Why don't you tell the folks at home who you are and where they can find you, maybe what you're into in Destiny. That way if they don't make it to the end of the episode, they can at least follow you.
Cool, yeah. Okay, so I'm ShieldMaiden. I like doing a lot of endgame and low man PvE content right now. Um, I'm a variety streamer, but I do have this Destiny addiction in the
Mhm.
best way possible. You can find me on Twitch at ShieldMaiden18 or twitch.tv/ShieldMaiden18. Same on Twitter. And I have a TikTok, but I barely upload, so it's just easier to find me on
You got to get
Twitter or
on that
Twitch.
TikTok grind, man.
I know.
That's the
It's such a
future,
grind,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Well, okay. Well, so glad to have you. How long have you been playing Destiny?
Um, very casually for maybe 2.5 years,
Mhm.
and really only started getting like serious, I guess, about it uh
Mhm.
in May. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's not been very long at all. I picked up D1 or D2, sorry, when it came out,
Okay.
and created a Titan, and I was on there for 10 minutes. I loaded into the Leviathan. I was like, "Why are all these enemies here? Like, I don't understand what to do." And so I just stopped playing.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah.
um,
That's something that
and then,
historically Bungie hasn't been fantastic at doing is unloading new players, but continue, sorry.
yeah. No, no, it was, yeah, it's I have a good laugh looking back. But yeah, and then, like 2.5 years ago, picked it back up, very casually just started it was what my friend group at the time was playing,
Mhm.
and, so I got into it because of them, and then, I think when Stasis entered, they all quit
Okay.
because they weren't happy, which is fine, like, there's people play games for, all different reasons, but, that was a big one for them to say goodbye, so I was essentially left kind of, like, to my own devices, and, I started streaming, so they could watch me play if they wanted or, meet new people and
Mhm.
just kind of off and on from there, so
Yeah. Cool, cool. So, what got you into pushing yourself for low man challenges? Like, was there like what was the transition there? Like from being somebody who had a friend group that played to like now not having a friend group that plays, like
Right.
what did that kind of feed into that as like a part of
Um,
necessity, or was it like just a challenge that you wanted to see in yourself?
um, honestly, it happened I d I don't even know how to explain it.
Okay.
It was I met, a couple people through, Soda Pop 55,
Mhm.
um, one of which was, a Labradorite who's in, Isometric, and, we started gaming, and I don't actually have like, people seem to think that I have this, like, huge group or, like, just lots of people to game with all the time, like,
Mhm.
I'll get a DM and people are like, "I'm sure your DMs are flooded with people wanting to" No, like,
Yeah.
nobody wants to play with me. I don't like, it doesn't make any sense, but, yeah, like, I don't actually play with, like, a ton of people, and so, we were gaming one day and he was just like, "Hey, let's load into Acquisition and just see like, if we can do it, because it obviously, Val can be trioed.
Mhm.
So we were like, let's just see what we can do with 2 people." And it only took 4 hours, excuse me, to get it down to the actual clear. So it was
Mhm.
4 hours total spent in acquisition, and the encounter took 11 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And I did it on stream, and I was just kind of, like, blown away, like, "Oh, oh, I can do this." Like, I
Mhm.
can actually, like, it didn't seem like some people made it seem like low mans or trios or, anything like that. It's just it's like a lot of pressure, and I
Mhm.
think as long as you're with the right people, like, it of course, is a challenge, like, you're challenging yourself, to do something that 6 people usually do, but yeah, it was just really, really low key, and I feel like with the right people, really anybody could knock out some low man stuff, so
Yeah, yeah.
but, yeah, like, that's how I got into it. It wasn't even like an honest, like, "Hey, let's go." It was just like a, "Hey, let's just kill time,"
Yeah.
So,
"Oh, we got some
um,
time to kill. Let's yeah,
this is a good two-man and encounter, but,
just casually stroll into
yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Well, it's like
But,
so
like
I've been doing so I think this season I've really been diving into doing like solo dungeons. That has been the season has been fine
Mhm,
overall. And we can get your takes on like how you're feeling about the season
sure.
in a little bit. Personally I've been feeling like the season overall is pretty good story-wise.
Mhm,
Um but there's like I'm starting to feel I week over week, I think my take on it is on the seasonal model is degrading because it's just like uh you kind of get into the repetition of how it works, and
yeah,
then you get to a point of like almost burnout, maybe complete burnout, and you're just not
yeah.
liable to put them into the right terms. But I've been finding that my joy has been coming from like I've been doing solo dungeons uh by myself off stream uh in my passing time when everything else is going on. I could do it on stream. I could do it on stream. But then there's like a bunch of voices that are just like, well, if you use this loadout,
I
you'd have
hate
this
that.
kind of debuff. And like yeah, it's and like I feel like in those instances I get like that old the old feeling of taking a test in front of everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's not a good feeling.
no, 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 it's not a fantastic feeling, but it's a feeling all the same. And but by myself I'm able to kind of get into that zone and figure it out for myself. What are your
Yeah.
experiences in like since you kind of casually walked into it? Like what was your experience with the low man? Was it like did you have jitters? Did you have nerves going in, or like or going into any of those types of activities? Is there like
Yeah, I mean, now, not
mhm,
not that day. I specifically remember that day was it was so chill,
mhm,
it was the 2 of us, and, like, we were good friends, anyway by then, and we just went in, and it was just 2 friends hanging out, like, playing a video game, like,
mhm,
how I feel like it should be, and
couch
then,
co-op and all that?
yeah. But everything after there has been, to some degree, like, jitters and, I'm hyper aware of, what mods am I using? What am I did I switch this aspect? Like, making sure my character is clear so that I can swap from, like, one chess piece to the other, really, really fast or,
Mhm,
it's there's a lot more to it, I feel like now.
mhm,
But that's okay too because, it feels good to optimize and to get it done.
mhm.
Um, but I do miss that feeling of I remember doing acquisition and, like, I think, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Lab was doing most of the work. He had he had Eager Edge on and was
Okay.
just
Oh, just working the
zooming.
map.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've
and
all
I just
seen that
got
player.
on yeah, and I was using Gallarhorn and, like, an SMG, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was I was using a Trials SMG at that in PvE. Like I had no concept of, like what to use or how to
Whatever works.
optimize and
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, I got it done,
Yeah.
whatever, but
You got the win.
um yeah, a win is a win.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I do. Sorry, a really long way of answering your question is yeah, like now I get jitters because I want to make sure it just seems like when you do low mans, like there's a not like a stigma, not in a bad way, but you're supposed to just know your stuff, you know?
Mhm.
And I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for not even 6 months. Like, I do not know my stuff
Yeah.
whatsoever, like I'm still learning. So, um, yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act and there's some jitters, but you get the right people around and for the most part they go away after a little bit. So,
Heck yeah. Well,
yeah.
so um what weapons have you been enjoying this season? Like I know the seasonal sandbox changes every few
Sure.
months, and especially with like the new weapons coming in. What are that have come in with Season of Plunder? What are some that you've been enjoying? What are some that you've been getting a lot of success with in your runs and stuff?
Before I forget, I did want to say watching you do the dungeons is really awesome. So,
Oh,
thank you for streaming the ones that you did because I had a great time like lurking.
well, thanks.
Yeah. To answer your question though,
Twitch.tv/Danfinity, by the way. Anyways, continue.
heck yeah.
Yeah.
um, so I was a hunter main for the longest time, and I know people want to poop on me, for that for various reasons, and that's okay.
Everybody
But
likes their flavor
I
of ice cream.
yes. So I I only recently found the Starfire Protocol Warlock Fusion Nade build
Hmm.
that everyone found back when Solar 2.0 came out.
So it
So
goes.
yeah, I've been having a blast with that and like Jurassic Green with Incandescent.
Oh yeah.
Um oh my god, and it's where pulses are unstop and everything right now.
Hmm.
Um I've been having a blast with that. Uh
I used that the other night in a GM. Like we were helping
yeah.
my buddy Jaden finish out his Conqueror title, and I was like, okay, I know there's some Solar Wizards in here, but there's not that many, and there's a couple of unstops. Maybe I just bring this thing along with me, and it had Incandescent on it, so I just decided to bring it in,
Heck yeah.
and was really impressed with its performance.
Yeah.
With like
It's a
the
solid 540. Like you
yeah.
just can't go wrong with it. Um yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a good thing to have. I mean, anything with incandescent
Mm-hmm.
is good with that build just because of the scorch, but
Mm-hmm.
um just where pulses are I think it only costs like one energy slot maybe for the unstop pulse. I could be totally wrong. I want to say it's
Yes.
less than other things though. It's less than unstop shotgun, I think.
I
I
want.
think that's why I used it. I can't remember
I.
now.
It is one. It
Everything's
is one. I
it
am
is one.
looking.
Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
am looking at my loadout on Dim right now.
Word. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it takes up less energy, it's
Mm.
infinite ammo, like you really can't go wrong with that. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that build. I really like that gun. Also the sniper,
Hmm.
macabre or am I
The
saying that right?
macabre.
The
The
macabre. Oh
macabre.
my.
So
Oh.
because I had this issue last week on this show, like kind of stumbling through all the like different iterations that you could say that thing. It has been confirmed that it is macabre, but it's spelled like mech, and then the back half of the actual word macabre, and it just sounds like
Yeah.
it's word salad. It sounds the same. It means the same thing.
Interesting.
It's
But I
got a really
think
cool
people have more fun
anime
saying
thing.
it. Yeah. And I feel like when you say it, you have to like turn to the side macabre. Like you
Macabre.
have to
You have
it's
to have
very
some
like
cognac.
yeah, like a glass of wine or
Yeah.
like, a
Yeah, you
thing of
gotta have some
whiskey.
cognac. You gotta have a fireplace behind you,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
yeah, and like some
Leather
tasteful,
seat.
like a leather seat and some tasteful anime up top, like some Gundam going on, like on the screen above
It's the cherry on top. It's the
Yeah,
anime.
because like the sound of that thing, that little is like
Yeah.
amazing. But continue. I
Yeah.
got us off the topic.
No, no, I'm here for it. But yeah, so that sniper with perpetual motion volt shot is actually
Yeah,
solid.
Volt Shot
Um,
is an
it's
amazing
sick.
perk.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
literally turned this, legendary sniper into like a cloud strike
Hmm.
essentially. So
Well,
it's
it doesn't have the same animation as Trinity Ghoul.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
those Volt Shot strikes, it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, so everything's Trinity Ghoul.
Yeah.
Neat.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, I really like that they brought those perks into the game, like Incandescent, Volt Shot.
Yeah.
Did Void get one? I
I
think I
don't.
think it's part of the subclass. I don't think it's part of any weapons. I'm sure somebody will
Yeah, it
correct us
might be.
online. I'm
I'm
sure somebody will
sure.
correct us online if we are wrong. But
Oh, shoot. Yeah, you're not wrong. Um, yeah, I can't really repulsor brace,
yeah,
maybe, I don't know. Something I don't
yeah.
know, something not as impressive as, like, bullshot.
This is the
Like,
internet. Somebody will figure it out.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
um,
those have been really awesome perks to
yeah.
bring into the loot pool overall. It actually makes legendaries feel slightly exotic.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, and it gives us a reason to grind for them.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, like I wanted a rangefinder incandescent, and I got one. So like
Mm-hmm.
but it took way more than 35 lost sectors to
Okay,
get
yeah.
that. So uh, yeah, it's a bit of a grind, but like worth it. Like I feel good about it. So
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling
um,
about the Festival of the Lost grind? Like in your experiences with it, did you buy into it whole hog and just grind it out, or have you been running it in the background?
actually in the background, I did not want to. People were hating themselves,
Mm-hmm.
gilding it in a day or, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I did not wanna do that this time.
Yeah.
I was actually only around for 1 for sure, maybe 2 of the Haunted Forest,
Okay. Yeah.
um, and then those went away, so, I mean, the Lost Sectors are still pretty new to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not, like, sick to death of them yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh I guess I remember some people on Twitter saying they missed the haunted forest, which I also thought was really, really cool, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I like listening to all of the little lines, I can't remember if it's, like, Ikora or somebody calls and she's like, "Oh, I just wanted to make sure that you guys were actually taking a vacation." And the ghost is like Flint's like, "Yeah, we're haunting headless ones. They're, pumpkin heads are full of
Yeah.
loot." And she's like, I don't even know why I bother calling." Like, and I'm just like, that's actually like ingenious. It's just really funny. Like
Yeah.
they're witty.
It's a good. They've been doing. I feel like they've been doing more and more over the past few years to kind of like make sure that everybody who wasn't Cade gets some jokes, you know, and the
Yeah.
because otherwise it would be quite dour
Yes,
in
yes,
an
it would.
unfunny universe. So yeah,
Uh
I enjoy that. I enjoy that they're fleshing those folks out. But continue.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. I know there's some backlash saying that like, "Ah, Flint's never gonna be Cade." Well, nobody's ever gonna be Cade, so you might
Yeah,
as well let people be what they're gonna be, you know what I mean?
Cade was Mickey
Um,
Mouse. They had to kill him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But it's cool. It gives us a chance to like last season, we're learning kind of everybody's their kryptonites, like what keeps
Hmm.
them up at night. Like that was a huge eye opener. I don't dislike Zavala quite as much now.
Okay.
So, um, he's been through a lot. But
Hmm.
anyway, yeah. I think it's cool seeing some stuff fleshed out. Um, getting to, do silly things in a very serious world, like
Hmm.
shoot pumpkin heads and get candy. Like that's
Yeah.
fun to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'm okay with, like, that kind of grind that, like, you can just zone out and, like, have a conversation with your friends while you're doing it, like,
Yeah.
to me, that's what gaming is about anyway, so,
Mhm.
um, yeah, being able to do that, have a laugh, that's good, and then, yeah, I had fun this season, like, grinding for weapons.
Yeah.
I didn't burn myself out, like, right away on it,
Yeah.
so I'm feeling pretty good overall about
Heck
it.
yeah. Heck yeah. I've been doing the candy grind and the pages grind kind of like in the background overall. I
Yeah.
people people on the who've been listening to the show for the past like however many episodes, I'm gonna tell you, start taking a drink anytime I like bring this up, and then stop drinking when I finish talking about it. So that's, and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be alcoholic, it could be non-alcoholic, it could be apple cider. It is the season. But the I've been doing it passively in the background. I've been going for my red border weapons. I think I only have like a handful left to be caught up
Nice.
on all the seasons since weapon crafting has been like introduced. And
Mhm.
but I've just been running those playlists like Wellspring and Dares and everything, and um getting the pages in the background and then be like, oh, okay, I got enough that I can knock these out. I think I only have 10 more pages that I need to do. So like that's 90 pages and 90 pumpkin heads, but that seems to go by pretty quickly when you're just not even paying attention. And I
Yeah.
feel like this loop, I've actually been enjoying this loop as compared to um the seasonal activity offering, where it's like you go do a catch crash and then you do an expedition and then you go do the thing, then you come back, then you do the catch crash, then you do the expedition. I haven't been
Yeah.
enjoying that one so much. This one feel feels okay because it's in the background. I'm not really super focusing on it, but it is something that is checking a box.
For sure, and it's
Yeah.
not limited to 2 activities. Like, you can
Mm-hmm.
get pages from doing
Anything.
a plethora of things in game.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
this
So,
season
I
this
think that
season really kind of like suffers from only being able to get the plundered element by doing expeditions, which is,
agreed.
yeah, it that feels like that's the not needed step in all this.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
it can also drop from catch
agreed.
crash and be just as fair, but
Yeah,
continue.
absolutely. Yeah, no, and it's a little bit harder too, so I really like getting triumphs. I don't know why, but I
Mm-hmm.
get a hit of dopamine when I get to
Yeah,
click
man,
it.
check those
So
boxes.
so the ruffians, can we talk about the ruffians?
We can definitely talk about ruffians. Yeah, what do you want
Why
to
do
talk
we
about?
need why do we need so many ruffians? I think there's so not I'm not even talking about the triumph for, like, the seal. I'm talking about the triumph that's, like, in the
For the seasonal, or for the
yeah, like,
season?
what you
Yeah.
it's not, like, down here, it's in one of the ones up here, and it's,
Yeah.
like, 250 or something.
Yeah, man. They really want you to play Expedition.
Why?
Look, I don't know. The
Ugh,
there's been a lot of talk about ruffians.
yeah,
And I do feel that Bungie is listening to those things. That's just one of the things that nothing's going to happen with. Whereas something that was like in the hot fix this week, they talk about Shaper 2, like the seasonal challenge for Shaper 2, where they're
oh,
like
forgetting the yeah,
yeah, it was significantly harder to achieve than other challenges, and we kind of like bopped it down. So to make it easier to complete for most people. And so I feel like they could do that for ruffians. They could also make ruffians on a percentage scale, but who knows how much spaghetti they got to pull out of the whole thing in order to make that happen. And I just picture somebody at Bungie whose job it is just to pull spaghetti out of wires.
that's their only job.
And that's it. And it's like it's always al dente. It's always like the most perfect spaghetti. Uh,
I just always imagine you've seen Christmas Vacation, I'm sure,
Oh yeah.
where he's pulling out the Christmas lights and then he just pulls it up and it's the
It's
whole
the whole
ball.
ball. Yeah.
Here, Russ, just untangle that. No big deal.
Pisser's broken. Uh let's see. But yeah, that's I I've been enjoying I think the Haunted Lost sectors are a unique activity. I I feel like a primer would have been cool, like to tell blueberries how to run them to get like all 15. That would have
Yeah.
been neat. Um as just kind of like a something I've been playing Cult of the Lamb a lot off stream.
Mhm.
Um something they do very well is like when you get a new power or when a new event pops, they say, "Hey, this is how you do it. These are the things that you need to progress from one to the other to break that down for everybody."
Right.
And I think Bungie would be um adding something like that for events like this, if it's your first
Mhm.
time going in, would be neat. That way
Yes.
at least they at least show you before you disregard all the instructions, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, like not knowing how to turn events heroic,
Yeah.
public events, you know? Like
Yeah.
you'll see like some really low season pass or like low light level people blowing through public events and you're like, "No, no,
No,
no.
no.
I need
It's not
this."
random. It's not random.
Please don't nuke the boss.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're so efficient in that moment, you know?
yeah. And in that there is
Uh,
beauty.
yes. Oh man.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any like so if somebody were trying to get into uh I guess to close out because we've been talking for a whole half hour. Look at us.
Hey.
Hey. Uh so it if somebody were trying to get into low man activities, uh what would be some tips that you would give them? What are maybe some weapons that you would be like, hey, like check this out because that is something that is useful for this because I know there are those.
Yeah, tip 1, don't put any pressure on yourself or
Mm-hmm.
your team. Like, go in with the thought that you're just trying it, and if it happens, cool, and if it doesn't, like, you can always try again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, weapons, uh, is eager edge sword
Mm-hmm.
because movement is everything. Um, whatever you're comfortable with that melts things up close,
Mm-hmm.
and from a distance.
What are
So
what are
that's
some of those
very
things for you?
non-specific. Yeah, it's very non-specific. It also depends on the build. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I guess another tip would be do some research. So, like, run it on whatever you want because, like, that's how you're gonna get it done is by playing on what you're most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right now, I like running things on a warlock. I'm actually working on duo oryx with, do you know Tobine?
Yeah. I know
Tib?
Turbine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so he's, um we actually got to, like, 2nd damage phase, I think, or something like that, so,
Incredible.
it's we're getting there, yeah, 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 he's a really great teacher, and, like, talking with people who know more than you is
Mm-hmm.
always helpful, but if, like, people can't find that, it's really just about, um, reading up on, like, what you're comfortable with. So if you want to go in on a warlock, like I recommend solar because that is going to keep you and everybody else alive,
Mm-hmm.
running well and stuff. Our Titan is super strong right now. Storm nades are dirty.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
everything right now, Arc Hunter is also really strong and
yeah.
Void
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, you can never go wrong with. So weapons, yeah, eager edge sword. I like using Callus mini tool
Okay.
or um I mean I use it because I'm solar warlock, so it just kind of like
It
builds.
lines
But
in, yeah.
I was trying to think. There's there's another SMG that I am completely blanking on that I used to use for Void. It might have just been Shiura's actually.
Okay.
Um, and then like Scout or Arbalest is never
Yeah.
a bad idea for your kinetic slot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, Scout
Ooh.
Pulse. What?
That's something that we can talk about real quickly.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
so there's a lot of conversation, especially from the PVC or PVC PvP side of the game recently, um, regarding Arbalest and moving it into
Yes.
like a heavy slot because like people are using those energy and kinetic linear fusion rifles to do some work in like
Yeah.
almost free work in
Yeah.
PvP. Um, would you be okay with that on the PvE side? Just because like Arbalest is pretty useful on that end.
Yeah. I would not be okay with
Okay.
that. Like, so I get where people are coming from. Like, I played
Hmm.
Trials this last weekend. That was not fun.
Yeah.
Uh, however, it's too valuable, like on the PvE side of things.
Hmm.
Um, where it's intrinsically anti-barrier. It still does as much damage. Like, it almost does as much damage as a cataclysmic.
Hmm.
Um, that doesn't have like any added perks like bait and switch proc or radiant or anything like that.
Hmm.
Um, it's just super strong. I think PvP wise, really all they need to do is make the flinch like equal to snipers.
Hmm.
Um, I just feel like you they never seem to get flinched off their shot, no matter what you're putting at them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if it was on par with snipers, and if somehow they could just do that for PvP, I
Hmm.
think they would honestly be pretty balanced. Like they're not easy to learn. It's a learning curve. So if people
Hmm.
can use them, like good for them. I I
Yeah.
can't use them, So, um, but yeah, I think that outside of that, no, it's super valuable. Even Lorentz in PvE,
Hmm.
you get the right void build going. That I mean, it's cracked in PvE. So I would hate to see. I would hate to see like the builds and what we can accomplish in PvE go to the not go to the wayside, but I'd hate to see
Hmm.
that like kind of fall off just because of PvP. But if there was a way they could like break it up and
I think
do what it needs to do,
they've been able to adjust weapons per sandbox more and more so lately. So
that's good.
I would hope
Yeah.
that that is something that they'd be able to hopefully hit. I think
Yeah.
today DMG did say something about reducing or like increasing the flinch um for them. I could be
Thank you.
completely wrong.
That's what I meant to say. You just
Y-
said it a lot better than I did. Like
No.
increase, yeah, yeah, increase the flinch. That honestly, that's really all it needs to.
Mm.
I mean, I think 2 shots is. I mean, that's what you
Mhm.
get for a shotty, like, or a sniper. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think just the flinch is the only thing. But
Yeah, sorry to
yeah,
get us
if
off
they're able
topic
to
there.
do that, no, no, that's okay. It's. I mean, it's what people are talking about. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, no, I really hope they're able to do it separately because I like what it does, for PvE.
Mhm.
I know PvP is a whole different story.
I've
So
I've tried using Wish Ender for the same anti-barrier breaks
mhm.
instead of Arbalest. Man,
No,
the draw time on Wish Ender, man, just
yeah,
nukes that possibility for me every time. Arbalest's
yeah,
ease of use
yes,
is
absolutely,
is almost crucial to in-game PvE stuff.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, are there other weapons that you would suggest for people like for that burst damage kind of thing that you were talking about with Low Man?
Oh, You know what, let me just I'm sorry, I'm just gonna pull up dim.
You're fine. This is
Um,
recorded, not live, so I can edit this however
oh,
however we need.
solid, this is amazing. Um,
That is part of why I do this.
Osteostriga yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, so, Osteostriga,
Okay.
melts pretty good. Um, I really need to play with Touch of Malice more, and there is
Mhm.
actually a superb Void build that goes in with Collective Obligation if people have it, but I hate doing stuff based around exotics that are RNG that, like, you can't
Mhm.
go get from a quest.
Yeah.
Forbearance, preferably a crafted forbearance,
Mhm.
with either unrelenting or ambitious assassin with chain reaction. Because I mean, it just especially with the enhanced perks, I mean, it
Mhm.
just goes forever. Knocks out so many funnel web. Oh my god,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
did I forget
Was
that
that
name?
was that the Void
That
SMG?
was the void.
I was as soon as you were talking about that, I was like, okay, hold on. I think I know. I'm looking here, and then we passed it, so I was like, okay, well,
Yeah, no, it was funnel web. I cannot believe I forgot the name of that.
Funnel Web's
But
still a
yeah,
really solid SMG, even like if
it
you're not
is.
building into it. It's
Yeah.
a very solid weapon. Unforgiven would also be good in that void slot.
Yes. Yes. I do like Unforgiven too. And
Yeah.
then, like Risk Runner,
Mm-hmm.
Teraba, if you can get those from the exotic thing. Trying to think. Trinity Ghoul is always a good one too, because you get distance and chain damage. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
some people really dig glaives
Oh yeah.
in
I love
Lomans.
glaives.
Yeah, it's they're just good for resistance, and they have a melee and a ranged attack, so it's just really helpful. Um, yeah, most of the low man stuff is based on
Just your overall
uh
build.
well yes, and depending on like what you're doing, but also my main weapon is always in the energy slot.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is in the kinetic is usually
The
not like
backup.
a it's definitely more like a backup. Running double special is
Yeah.
also something that most people are hesitant to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I think like with the right build and mods and stuff like that, ammo is still pretty free in this game. So
I use a glaive and arbalist in just about everything because the heavy drop, especially with heavy ammo finders, the
mhm.
heavy drop, because you're cutting out the middle, like because you're using special weapons, you're not dropping special ammo as often, and the
Right.
heavy ammo is the thing that it starts to like feed you essentially. So like double
Right.
special is a solid choice there.
Yeah. And especially if you're running like RBs with a linear fusion and the heavy as well, and
Yeah.
you only have to throw on one mod for it, which is I
Yeah.
mean, that's just baller. Yeah.
That's just syncing things up,
Heck
baby.
yeah.
I'm gonna edit that out. That was cringe. Sorry.
No, you have to keep that
No,
in.
I gotta get rid of that.
Dang it. Oh, man.
But yeah, well, ShieldMaiden, it's been a pleasure to have you on tonight. Again, tell the people at home where they can find you.
You can find me at twitch.tv/ShieldMaiden18 and at ShieldMaiden18 on Twitter as well.